The interrogation took place in the parlor, where Lewin, having shed his heavy armor for a simple shirt, stood over the trembling Count Hessen. He accused the nobleman of theft, demanding to know why a brief skirmish had been dragged out for a week. He charged the Count with using his own people as meat shields to prolong the conflict. When Lewin pressed him on whether he had betrayed the Empire to join hands with Kalian, the Count frantically denied it, claiming he only needed the funds for an investment to secure his family's future. Before Lewin could drag the truth of this investment out of him, a messenger burst in with urgent news. The Bahat forces had acknowledged defeat and were demanding an immediate negotiation. However, the identity of the Bahat representative stopped Lewin cold. It was Crown Prince Kalian. Lewin was visibly shaken by the name. His mind raced back to the original novel, where Kalian was described not just as a prince, but as a demon who would slaughter children without hesitation to possess the protagonist. Realizing that his opponent had inherited actual demon blood, Lewin panicked internally, feeling woefully unprepared to face the story's final boss so soon. Forcing himself to regain composure, Lewin turned his attention back to the Count and demanded to know what he had purchased with the embezzled military funds. The Count finally cracked, admitting that he hadn't bought weapons at all. Instead, he had squandered the money on dresses and jewelry to prepare his sister for a political marriage, hoping she would seduce a high-ranking noble to secure the family's wealth. Lewin looked at him in disbelief, realizing the soldiers had starved just so the Count could dress up his sister. A knock interrupted his frustration, and a woman entered the room. Lewin recognized her immediately as Demia, the villainess from the original story, but she defied his expectations. Instead of the haughty, arrogant beauty he had read about, she was trembling in fear, wearing an extravagant crimson gown purchased with the stolen blood money. Lewin tried to dismiss her, claiming he was too exhausted to deal with her, but Demia lunged forward and grabbed his hand in desperation. The mask of the villainess was gone. She was terrified. She confessed that her brother had spent everything, and they had no way to repay the embezzlement. With tears in her eyes, she revealed that her brother had forced her into a humiliating ultimatum. She begged Lewin to take her as his mistress, in exchange for sparing House Hessen. Horrified by the proposal, Lewin snatched his hand away as if burned. He frantically rejected the idea, stammering that as a duke and the guardian of the border, he had no need for a mistress and would never accept human lives as payment for crimes. Demia, misinterpreting his shock as a refusal to show mercy, collapsed to the floor in a pile of silk and began to sob uncontrollably. Panicked by her tears and realizing she was just another victim of the Count's greed, Lewin crouched down to comfort her. Gently, he urged the weeping woman to stand up. Lewin declared that he wanted to be her ally and asked her to join him in return. Confusion washed over her at the thought of a duke seeking her help, but Lewin explained his reasoning. Since they were now partners, they should begin by taking revenge on the man who had humiliated her. The scene shifted to Count Hessen's private quarters, where the Count sat swirling a glass of wine, flushed with premature victory. He muttered to himself, fantasizing that if his sister successfully seduced the Duke, his embezzlement of the war funds would remain a secret forever. A voice asked if he wished to be buried along with his crimes. A shadow fell over him, freezing the grin on his face. The Count spun around, demanding to know who dared intrude, only to recoil in terror as he recognized the Duke. Lewin stood tall, arms crossed and sleeves rolled up, radiating a terrifying calmness. He sarcastically noted that while he had been exhausting himself waging war, the Count seemed quite relaxed. The Count stammered, sweat beading on his forehead as he tried to deny the accusation. Lewin stepped closer, his presence filling the room, and countered that the Count looked like a man with too much free time. With a cold smile, Lewin announced that he wanted the Count to serve him personally. The Count recoiled, his pride bristling at the idea of performing menial labor. Lewin lowered his voice to a dangerous whisper, asking if that was why the Count had planned to force Lady Demia to do such tasks instead. The Count flinched, scrambling for excuses and trying to leverage his supposed connections to the imperial family. Unimpressed, Lewin interrupted, asking if the Count was scheming to cause a conflict with the imperial family. The Count waved his hands frantically, insisting it was a misunderstanding and that he only wished to relieve the Duke's fatigue. Lewin invented a demand on the spot, claiming his sensitive skin required water from a specific mountain stream. He pointed out the window to a distant stream and commanded the Count to fetch water from there, morning, noon, and evening. The Count looked out in horror, realizing the walk would take hours. Lewin casually remarked that the Count was free to refuse, but warned that doing so would leave them ample time to immediately audit the missing war funds. Terrified of being exposed as a thief, the Count shook violently and squeaked out his agreement to the humiliating task. Later, in the quiet of the guest room, Lewin spoke with Demia. She admitted she had come to see him out of curiosity. Lewin turned serious, asking if she knew that her brother had allied himself with the enemy, Crown Prince Kalian of Bahat. Demia's face drained of color. She had no idea. Lewin explained the gravity of the situation. Kalian planned to seize the throne of his own country by eliminating his rival, the second prince, during this war. To succeed, he needed an accomplice within the Highland Empire, and had bribed the greedy Count Dedo to help him. Lewin warned Demia that if the emperor discovered this treason first, her entire family would be destroyed. He promised to protect her if she could find evidence of the bribery. Remembering her brother's selfishness, Demia hardened her resolve and agreed to help Lewin save her family. On the day of the negotiations, Lewin sat in the command tent, reviewing the evidence Demia had found. He felt confident that he could use the documents to pressure the enemy commander. However, that confidence shattered the moment the tent flap opened. Crown Prince Kalian entered. Dressed in black military garb with a red cloak, he possessed a terrifying, overwhelming presence that signaled he was no ordinary human. Lewin froze, realizing the sheer power of the man before him. Kalian glanced pointedly at Lewin's helmet, silently demanding he remove it. Reluctantly, Lewin obliged, revealing his face. Kalian sat down and asked if they could begin. Lewin slid the evidence of the bribery across the table. Kalian scanned the letter and smirked, completely unbothered. He told Lewin that he would have simply admitted to the bribery if asked, mocking the effort it took to find the proof. He then turned the tables, asking if there were other accomplices in the empire besides the Count. When Lewin remained silent, wary of a trap, Kalian offered a deal. He would answer Lewin's questions only if Lewin agreed to become his knight. Before Lewin could process the offer, Kalian's eyes flooded with a crimson light, a sign of his demon blood reacting to excitement. One of Kalian's knights came to report an urgent news. He then revealed that the 8th prince, Shavian, had gone missing. Kalian stood up, looming over the table, and ordered someone to find the boy. His voice turned dark as he commanded them to break the boy's legs or kill him, making it clear he viewed the child as nothing more than a nuisance. Horrified by the casual cruelty, Lewin realized he was dealing with a monster. He refused the offer to become Kalian's knight, declaring that he could not serve a demon because he respected his own lord, who was a gentle man. Kalian threw his head back and burst into manic laughter, finding the very idea of a gentle emperor to be the funniest thing he had ever heard.